Well, my hunt to Thunder Mountain Outfitters was really fun, and this hunt involves a very remote location where the vast majority of the baits are accessed by four-wheeler on self-made trails with homemade bridges and all that, although some of the baits are accessed by driving out to the main highway where the baits, and the main highway is gravel road, but basically a logging road. The first night I got in a stand and had this chocolate bear. He's just a beautiful bear. He's real kind of light on the back and has dark legs and head. And it's not the bear I wanted. I was there to shoot a cinnamon bear, but this is a gorgeous bear. And he was around me for a couple hours, and then...
Hey, buddy. Don't untie my... Dude, you untied the strap.
He untied the strap on my ladder stand. Then he went over and he was working through these logs here. He's trying to get some grubs, and man, their strength is amazing. This is not that big of a bear, about 150 pounder, probably 3-year-old male. And I mean, he's just tearing that log to shreds with no problem at all, and finally digs in there and gets the grub he wants. He can smell it in all that pine scent. Their nose is amazing. Second night I went to a different stand where all I had come in was a sow with a yearling cub, and they were around there for quite a while. They were certainly nervous and they looked around a lot. There's obviously other bears that are using this bait, and they would kind of take turns feeding, and it was kind of surprising how nervous they were, and I just expected another bear to come in at any time, but they never did. This cub was real curious, and he followed my scent trail all the way over to the base of the tree stand. Look at these, he's standing in a bunch of moose droppings there, and he can still smell my scent. And he walked right over the base of my tree. I think he could see something up there that he hadn't seen before, and there's my boot, and he walks right under, and I tried to move my foot so I could get a little better video of him, but as you can see, that doesn't work out very well. So he was gone, but he was back in about 10-15 minutes. Now there's the four-wheelers that we use to access a lot of the baits, and we also use this Toyota. It's a Land Cruiser, an 86, and man, unfortunately it was still frozen up. The lake was frozen. I spent $78 on a fishing license. The food was terrific. The lodge was great. We ate like a king while we were there. The road that led out to the main highway was pretty rough, and it had 3 large potholes that were big mud holes that we had to get through, and we had to cross them many, many times. And this wasn't even the deepest one that you see here. The deepest one, the headlights would go underwater when you'd go through it with one of the trucks. We several times got trucks stuck in them, and then sometimes we even got trucks stuck that were trying to pull trucks out that were stuck. So I even had to go through it with a four-wheeler at times. So you better make sure you're wearing your rubber boots when you go through this with your four-wheeler, because you're going to get wet if you don't. This all just adds to the adventure, you know. It's all part of the excitement of going to a new place and trying new things. So it's time to hunt day 3.
Well, it's about 3 o'clock on Monday, the 19th of May, and this is my 3rd day. I'm in another completely different spot. I've seen bears the first 2 days. This spot, we got trail camera pictures of a really nice bear that it looks like the color that I want. It's kind of hard to tell, but he looks like he's got quite a bit of red to his fur, and that's exactly what I've been looking for. That's why I came to this place, Thunder Mountain Outfitters, because they do have about 30% cinnamon bears. So I'm looking for a cinnamon, and I'm at a bait where we've been getting pictures of one, and so it's about 3 o'clock right now, and it gets dark about 9:30, 9:45, so I got a long set ahead of me, but this is it's a pretty good spot. It was apparently a dump at one time, because it's only about 100 yards off the gravel road that leads way back into the bush in this country, and probably was a logging landing, and then people from the area decided to use it as a dump because there's tires and old junk cars and garbage kind of all over here. but it's been a long time since anything's been dumped here. You can't drive back in here anymore. You barely can get in here with a four-wheeler, and so the stuff is probably 20 years old. But the bears sure like this spot for some reason, and it's a good spot for a bait, and they've been hitting it hard. There's a lot of bears on this bait. I think we got trail camera pictures in the last 2 days of probably 7 different bears, including the cinnamon that I want and a sow with a cub. So I feel really good. Boy, the weather's just gorgeous today. It's 65 degrees and a light wind, and it's going to be a fun afternoon to sit here and just enjoy the day. Maybe today's the day.
This bear had me pretty much tied up in knots. When I first saw it, it came in and hung up about 60, 70 yards away, and it would sit there and sniff and pace back and forth, and it would stand up on its hind legs and look. And then the wind was kind of dicey. It was not a good wind for me, actually, and the bear would wind me, and then it would get nervous and leave, and then 15, 20 minutes later it would come back, and it'd be there for 15 or 20 minutes. Man, I knew it was the bear I wanted. It was a beautiful color, but it kept coming and going, and an hour and a half later, after 4 times, then it finally came in and came a little closer. As you can see here, this is the 4th time it came in, and it's trying to get a whiff of the human scent that it smelled a couple times before. It's trying to see anything in the bait, and it's coming a little bit closer right now. It's at about 50 yards, and as it walks through the sun there, you can see it's just got a gorgeous coat on it. It's a really nice reddish orange color, and that's the cinnamon bear I want. This bear is very, very cautious, and anybody who thinks that you can just go out and throw out a pile of donuts and wait till a bear shows up and shoot the bear doesn't understand bear baiting, because these bears, even in this wilderness situations, are often very, very cautious around these baits and difficult to shoot. This is the farthest it's come so far in an hour and a half, so right now my optimism is very, very high. And you can see it standing there on one leg. Bears do that a lot. That's a real common posture for them. I'm actually having this bear mounted in exactly that position right there. You can see the nose going. He's trying to figure it out, but now as the sun got a little lower in the sky, the wind laid down and switched a little bit, and so it wasn't shifting and swirling, and he can't get my scent now. Man, he's gorgeous when he goes through that sunlight. Every step is very, very cautious. I've seen these bears actually start to put their foot down and then lift it back up and move it over a few inches and put it down somewhere else. Very deliberate movements. Now, as he goes behind this tree, it gives me a chance to move my camera into position to videotape the shot. And as soon as I got the camera settled into position, then I took my bow off the hanger while his head was still behind that tree. And at this point, he's committed. And I'm thinking, okay, he's 35 yards. I can easily make that shot. Even if he decides to leave right now, he's going to have to turn broadside to leave. And I've got my pin on him. All I got to do is draw, settle the pin, and shoot. So right now I feel pretty good that I'm going to get a chance to shoot, but it's going to get even better here in a second. Right there, the trail camera took a picture of him, and he looked over at it briefly. When he gets to the barrel, I realize he's about 160 to 180 pound bear, because he's not quite as tall as a barrel. If he's as tall as a barrel, he's probably be about 200 pound bear. And his head goes behind the barrel, perfect. I draw my bow. He steps out. I wait for his vitals to clear, and boom. Right through the back of the lungs. He's down right there. I got my cinnamon. He went down right there. There's the death moan. Oh my gosh. An hour and a half. An hour and a half.
I've been working this crazy guy. I can't believe I finally got him. The fourth time he finally committed. I got him.
This is a pretty emotional moment for me. I've spent a lot of hours in a stand and a lot of miles both in flying and driving trying to get a cinnamon bear in several states and provinces.
I cannot believe it. How many years have I been trying to get a cinnamon bear? And there he lays. This bear came in over an hour and a half ago, and he hung up out there, and the wind was going right towards him. And he worked around back and forth, and I kept watching him perfectly still. I'd sit, and then he'd leave because he kept winding me. And you know, he'd lay down, he'd sit there, he'd walk back and forth, and he'd leave. He'd be gone for 10-15 minutes, and I'd stand up and get some circulation back in my legs, and then he'd come back. And finally, on the fourth time, he finally committed to the bait, and you could see how cautious he finally came in. And I got drawn when his head was behind the barrel, and I hit him right in the back of the lungs, and he ran probably 40 yards over there and just piled up, and I heard the death moans. So I got my bear. I got my cinnamon. I'm 3/4 of the way to a grand slam of color-faced bears, and now I got to try to get a blonde. That's the hardest one. And anyway, okay, well, it is 7:17, so it's 2.5 hours more till dark. I'm going to go hang a ribbon. I'm going to walk out the road, it's 100 yards or so, and hang a ribbon up on the road, and they can bring a four-wheeler in. Gosh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Thunder Mountain Outfitters, Bear Hunting Magazine, who supported me in this. Yes. Thank you for being along. Well, there he is. He is a beautiful bear. And look at the collar. He doesn't have quite as much red as I thought, but he's definitely a cinnamon. I mean, the collar is just amazing. Oh my goodness. He is gorgeous. I couldn't possibly afford a full body mount, but what a perfect mount he would be. I gotta decide what I'm gonna do with him. Oh my. What a bear. Wow, this is my 16th bear, and I'll tell you what, I am proud of him. And oh my goodness, he came down this trail 4 times. And he came to about right here, which is 50 yards from the stand, and he would hang up. And you can see the barrel right there. Tree stand right there. I don't know, I suppose I'm 40 yards from the barrel right now. That's all the farther he went. I just perfectly hit him right through the back of both lungs. Oh, wow, that is so exciting. Well, I got my bear on the 3rd day, but I stayed there for 6 days. And I thought, you know, I really want to go fishing, and there's a lot of open water out there, but the lake ice is all pushed up against the shore by the lodge, and so I thought maybe I can get the boat through it. And I managed to work my way out and crush this ice and work my way through this rotten ice out into the open water, and it actually did get a chance to do some fishing, but I didn't catch anything. Anyway, it was a gorgeous evening on the lake.